In the cold silence of deep space, where stars hang like distant diamonds against the velvet void, the fate of two civilizations teeters on the edge of annihilation. A single message, encoded in a language older than time itself, holds the key to survival if only they can trust each other enough to decipher it. Subscribe now to uncover how an unlikely alliance between species changes the course of galactic history. The first time Captain James O'Connell saw her, she was standing bathed in the pale blue light of the communications array, her translucent skin shimmering with patterns that seemed to dance to some unheard cosmic symphony. Caitlin wasn't just any translator. She represented everything he had learned to despise since that fateful day when Kexionite forces obliterated his home colony. Yet here she stood, representing Luminaria's interests aboard the human flagship Invincible, her presence both a reminder of past betrayals and a necessity for current survival. The year was marked by relentless skirmishes across known space, humanity locked in a desperate struggle against the technologically superior Kexionites who sought to expand their dominion across the galaxy. James moved through the bustling corridors of the ship, each step echoing his internal conflict. The memories of fire raining from the skies still haunted him, the screams of his wife and daughter, cut short by an enemy he couldn't even see clearly before they struck. Now, every alien face reminded him of that loss, especially hers. Caitlin's ethereal beauty made her seem almost otherworldly, but it was her unwavering dedication to bridging the gap between species that intrigued him despite himself. Her people, the Lumians, had joined humanity's cause not out of altruism, but because they too faced extinction if the Kexionites prevailed. Their initial interactions were terse, professional exchanges punctuated by mutual suspicion. During briefings, Caitlin would translate intercepted Kexionite transmissions with clinical precision while James maintained a careful distance, his arms crossed defensively as he studied her movements. She possessed an uncanny ability to interpret not just words but subtle inflections in alien speech patterns, often catching nuances that human analysts missed entirely. This skill proved invaluable when decoding fragmented messages from deep space probes, though James found himself questioning whether her insights stemmed from genuine expertise or hidden agendas. The turning point came during a critical mission near the Arcturus sector, where ancient ruins hinted at a forgotten civilization's knowledge. Caitlin's understanding of archaic dialects revealed connections between these ruins and similar structures discovered on dozens of worlds throughout explored space. As they worked side by side, examining weathered inscriptions beneath harsh artificial lights, James began noticing small details about her. The way her bioluminescent markings dimmed when she concentrated deeply, how her fingers traced symbols with reverence rather than mere academic interest. These observations chipped away at his carefully constructed walls of distrust. Their partnership deepened when the Invincible received fragments of what appeared to be a universal warning system left behind by the ancients. The messages came through corrupted channels, requiring not just linguistic skills, but intuitive leaps between disparate languages and mathematical concepts. Caitlin's approach transformed from purely technical to something more profound as she recognized patterns linking their findings to Luminarian mythology. These aren't just warnings, she explained one evening in the dimly lit research chamber, her voice carrying an urgency that caught James off guard. Their instructions for creating a quantum resonance field capable of disrupting Kexionite technology. James watched as her luminescent patterns shifted through various hues, revealing emotional states beyond human expression. Despite his lingering doubts, he found himself drawn into her enthusiasm, seeing possibilities where before he'd only seen obstacles. Their working sessions extended late into shipboard nights, illuminated only by the glow of their equipment and Caitlin's natural radiance. The crew began noticing how their body language changed, how Caitlin would occasionally touch James's arm to emphasize a point, how he no longer flinched at such contact. Rumors spread through the ship, but neither cared. They were onto something monumental. The breakthrough came unexpectedly during a routine calibration of their translation matrix. Caitlin's fingers hovered over the interface, her patterns pulsing erratically as she processed information faster than any human could follow. "It's not just a defensive measure," she whispered, her voice trembling with revelation. "It's a peace protocol. The ancients designed it to force warring factions to communicate rather than destroy each other." James felt his heart race as pieces fell into place, the strange energy signatures detected near contested territories, the mysterious power surges that sometimes halted battles temporarily. They weren't random occurrences but remnants of this ancient system trying to activate. Their discovery brought them closer to the truth, but also greater danger. Intelligence reports suggested the Kekshanites had uncovered similar information and were attempting to weaponize it. Each new piece of data they decoded painted a clearer picture of the ancients' vision, a network of communication hubs spread across the galaxy, designed to maintain balance between developing civilizations. But time was running out. The Kekshanites launched a massive offensive, targeting locations mentioned in the ancient texts. James and Caitlin found themselves racing against both the enemy and their own growing feelings for each other. As their investigation progressed, Caitlin revealed more about her own culture's connection to the ancients. Luminarian folklore spoke of the harmony, of the mythical state of universal understanding achieved through shared consciousness. Her people believed these stories were metaphorical until now. "We've been searching for meaning in our myths, while ignoring concrete evidence under our feet," she confessed during one of their marathon decoding sessions. James observed how her entire being seemed to vibrate with excitement as she connected spanning millennia of interstellar history. Her bioluminescent patterns formed complex sequences that mirrored the mathematical relationships they were uncovering. The personal cost of their work became apparent as sleep deprivation took its toll. Dark circles formed under James's eyes, while Caitlin's normally vibrant patterns dimmed to muted tones. Yet neither could tear themselves away from the unfolding mystery. Their meals became working sessions, their rest periods brief catnaps in adjacent chairs. The ship's AI monitored their vital signs with increasing concern, but their determination outweighed any health warnings. During these intense periods, their barriers continued to dissolve. James found himself sharing stories of his family, moments he'd buried deep within guilt and grief. Caitlin listened without judgment, her luminous presence offering comfort beyond words. A significant development occurred when they discovered that the ancients' language incorporated elements from multiple species' vocal patterns, suggesting an unprecedented level of cooperation among early civilizations. Caitlin demonstrated this by humming melodic sequences that resonated with both human and luminarian physiology. The ancients understood that true communication requires physical harmony as well as intellectual understanding, she explained, her voice modulating through frequencies that made James's very bones vibrate. This revelation led them to experiment with combined harmonic translations, using both their voices to unlock deeper layers of meaning in the ancient texts. Their progress attracted attention from unexpected quarters. Admiral Hargrove, commander of the human fleet, began making frequent visits to their lab, his expression unreadable as he observed their increasingly synchronized work. Other officers whispered about favoritism, but James knew better. Hargrove's scrutiny stemmed from something darker, something related to classified files he'd caught glimpses of during briefings. Meanwhile, Caitlin received encrypted messages from Luminarian authorities, their content guarded, but their frequency alarming. Trust issues resurfaced as both realized their respective governments might have ulterior motives for supporting their research. The tension reached a breaking point when their analysis revealed that the Ancients' peace protocol required simultaneous activation of nodes across multiple systems. One crucial node lay within Kexianite-controlled territory, making retrieval nearly impossible. James proposed a daring mission to retrieve the necessary components while Caitlin worked on perfecting the harmonic resonance sequence needed for activation. Their planning sessions became feverish debates about risk versus reward, each arguing from their species' perspective while gradually finding common ground in their shared goal. The intimacy of these discussions, conducted in hushed tones amid blinking control panels, forged bonds stronger than either had anticipated. During preparations for the mission, Caitlin insisted on accompanying James despite regulations prohibiting aliens from combat operations. "My understanding of Luminarian navigation techniques could prove vital," she argued, her patterns flashing with determination. James initially resisted, haunted by memories of losing those he cared about, but ultimately conceded when simulations demonstrated her methods could reduce mission time by 40%. Their departure drew concerned looks from the crew, some admiring their commitment, others skeptical of interspecies cooperation during wartime. As they boarded the stealth shuttle, Caitlin placed a gentle hand on James's shoulder, her touch conveying more reassurance than words ever could. The mission tested their resolve in ways neither had anticipated. Navigating through Kexionite patrols required precise coordination of their different sensory abilities. James's tactical training complemented Caitlin's innate spatial awareness enhanced by her species' unique perception of electromagnetic fields. In moments of crisis, they communicated through a combination of verbal commands and subtle gestures developed during their research, creating an almost telepathic connection. When cornered by enemy fighters, Caitlin's quick thinking saved them by utilizing her species' ability to generate electromagnetic pulses that temporarily disabled pursuit ships. These shared experiences stripped away remaining pretenses, leaving only raw honesty between them. Back on the Invincible, their return sparked immediate controversy. Military brass questioned the wisdom of allowing an alien on such a sensitive operation, while Luminarian diplomats expressed concerns about their representative's safety. Yet the mission's success, retrieving critical components while gathering intelligence on Kexionite capabilities, silenced most critics. The recovered data revealed that the enemy had already activated several nodes, though incompletely, causing the unstable energy fluctuations observed earlier. This news added urgency to their work as they realized time was running out to implement the full protocol before the Kexionites could weaponize the system. As they integrated the new components into their experimental setup, Caitlin and James discovered additional layers of complexity in the Ancients' design. The system required not just technological synchronization but biological compatibility between operators. Tests showed that their combined genetic material created unique energy signatures matching those required for full activation. This revelation forced them to confront ethical implications they'd previously avoided. Successful implementation would essentially merge aspects of their beings, creating something neither purely human nor Luminarian. Late-night discussions turned philosophical as they grappled with questions of identity and sacrifice. Their relationship evolved through these challenges, moving beyond professional respect to something deeper yet undefined. Meals became intimate affairs in the ship's observation deck, watching stars stream past while debating the nature of consciousness and free will. Caitlin's bioluminescent patterns responded to James's emotions now, sometimes mirroring his mood before he even spoke. These moments of connection were punctuated by sudden separations when duty called, emergency drills, diplomatic meetings, or simply the need for physical space to process overwhelming revelations. Each parting left them more aware of their growing attachment, complicating their focus on the mission. Technical breakthroughs accelerated as they embraced their complementary strengths. Caitlin's intuitive grasp of multidimensional mathematics combined with James's practical engineering experience yielded innovative solutions to seemingly insurmountable problems. They developed a hybrid interface that translated human neural impulses into Luminarian energy patterns, effectively creating a new form of communication technology. This achievement drew praise from both human and Luminarian scientists, though it also attracted unwanted attention from shadowy elements within both governments. Whispers of sabotage began circulating through the ship's corridors. The political ramifications of their work became impossible to ignore. High-ranking officials from both species demanded regular briefings, their questions probing for weaknesses that could be exploited for advantage. Caitlin noticed increased surveillance of their lab, while James intercepted encrypted messages suggesting plans to appropriate their research. Trust issues resurfaced as they struggled to determine which superiors genuinely supported their mission and which sought to manipulate it for personal gain. Their isolation grew, forcing them to rely even more heavily on each other for support and guidance through the growing web of intrigue surrounding their project. The final phase of testing approached with both anticipation and dread. Their prototype system required live trials that could potentially expose them to dangerous levels of quantum radiation. Medical teams prepared containment protocols, while psychological counselors offered last-minute evaluations. Caitlin spent hours calibrating safety parameters, her patterns flickering with anxiety she tried to conceal. James matched her dedication, double-checking every calculation and triple-verifying each component connection. Their synchronized efforts created an almost ritualistic atmosphere in the lab, broken only by occasional whispered encouragements or shared glances that conveyed more than words ever could. During a particularly intense calibration session, their hands accidentally brushed while adjusting the same control panel. The resulting energy surge shocked them both, sending cascading waves of light through Caitlin's patterns while James experienced a momentary flash of alien consciousness. This unexpected connection revealed new insights into each other's fundamental nature. James perceived the vast network of Luminarian collective memory that Caitlin accessed instinctively, while she gained a visceral understanding of human individuality and emotional depth. Though physically separated by species, they realized they'd been gradually merging their perspectives all along, creating a unique hybrid understanding essential for mastering the Ancients' technology. Political tensions escalated as launch day neared. Both human and Luminarian leadership demanded exclusive control over the completed system, threatening to withdraw support if their demands weren't met. Classified documents surfaced, showing that both sides had been secretly developing weapons based on incomplete versions of the Ancients' technology. Caitlin and James found themselves caught between competing agendas, their loyalty questioned by increasingly aggressive interrogators. Midnight meetings in secure chambers became battlegrounds of ideology, with each side trying to sway them through promises or threats. Through it all, their shared purpose remained their anchor, though the strain began manifesting in subtle ways. Caitlin's patterns fluctuating erratically, James developing stress-induced migraines. The situation reached crisis point when a rogue faction within the human military attempted to seize control of their lab. Caitlin's quick thinking activated emergency protocols that sealed them inside, but escape routes were limited. As armed personnel pounded on the reinforced doors, they faced a devastating choice: destroy months of work to prevent its misuse or risk it falling into the wrong hands. Their decision would determine not just their fate, but potentially the future of interstellar relations. In those tense moments, isolated together amidst banks of humming equipment, they acknowledged what had been building between them all along, a bond transcending species boundaries, forged in shared sacrifice and mutual trust. With seconds ticking down before security breaches could override their lockdown, James and Caitlin implemented a desperate contingency plan. Using their hybrid interface, they initiated a controlled shutdown sequence that would erase critical data while preserving essential algorithms in a quantum-encrypted backup. As red warning lights flashed and klaxons blared, Caitlin's patterns pulsed in complex sequences that masked their true activities from external sensors. James coordinated the timing with military precision, his years of tactical training merging seamlessly with Caitlin's intuitive grasp of quantum mechanics. Together, they created a digital smokescreen that would buy them precious time to complete their mission. The aftermath of their actions sent shockwaves through both human and Luminarian command structures. Official statements condemned their reckless behavior, but private communications revealed admiration for their principles. Admiral Hargrove personally intervened to protect them from court-martial, citing their irreplaceable expertise in reconstructing the lost data. This intervention carried its own price: increased monitoring and restricted access to certain research areas. Yet within these limitations, they found unexpected freedom. Stripped of political interference, they could focus purely on perfecting the Ancients' protocol without fear of appropriation or sabotage. Their relationship deepened through shared adversity. Late-night conversations turned philosophical as they pondered the implications of their choices. Caitlin introduced James to Luminarian meditation techniques that helped him process trauma from his past, while he taught her human strategies for dealing with institutional pressure. These exchanges revealed deeper layers of their personalities: Caitlin's vulnerability beneath her composed exterior, James's capacity for forgiveness despite his scars. Their physical proximity during delicate calibration work became charged with unspoken understanding, though they maintained professional boundaries during official hours. Technical challenges mounted as they worked to rebuild their system from encrypted fragments. Each restored function required recalibration of their hybrid interface, pushing their connection to new levels of intimacy. They discovered that their combined neural patterns created unique quantum states that enhanced processing efficiency, effectively making them indispensable components of the protocol. This realization carried profound implications. Successful implementation would permanently alter their consciousness, creating a symbiotic link that defied conventional understanding of individual identity. Yet neither hesitated. Their shared purpose had become more compelling than personal concerns. As reconstruction progressed, they encountered an unexpected phenomenon: residual traces of the ancients' consciousness embedded in their technology. These echoes manifested as ghostly presences during testing, influencing calculations and equipment behavior in ways that defied conventional physics. Caitlin, with her species' heightened sensitivity to dimensional shifts, served as primary interface with these entities, her patterns transforming into complex mandala-like formations that James interpreted through their hybrid system. The experience blurred lines between science and spirituality, forcing them to reconsider fundamental assumptions about life and consciousness across species boundaries. Their discoveries attracted attention from unexpected sources. Independent researchers and rogue scientists from both human and Luminarian communities reached out through encrypted channels, offering insights and resources in exchange for access to their findings. This underground network provided crucial support, while mainstream institutions remained mired in political maneuvering. Through these contacts, they learned of similar phenomena observed elsewhere in explored space, suggesting their work was part of a larger pattern of reawakening ancient knowledge. The realization that they weren't alone in their quest brought both comfort and additional pressure to succeed. Security measures intensified as their experiments pushed boundaries of what both species considered possible. Containment fields fluctuated dangerously during peak activity periods, requiring constant adjustment that only their combined efforts could manage safely. Caitlin's bioluminescent patterns served as real-time indicators of system stability, while James's tactical expertise enabled rapid response to emerging threats. Their synergy became so refined that crew members joked about installing a permanent chair for their joint monitoring sessions, though the underlying seriousness of their situation remained evident in everyone's cautious demeanor around the lab. The political landscape shifted dramatically when leaked documents revealed that both human and Luminarian leadership had independently discovered the ancients' true purpose, not just maintaining balance, but actively guiding evolution of younger species. This revelation sparked widespread debate about destiny versus free will, with extremist factions on both sides advocating for different interpretations. Some viewed the protocol as divine intervention that should be implemented immediately, while others saw it as dangerous manipulation of natural development. Caught in this ideological crossfire, James and Caitlin found themselves defending their work against accusations ranging from heresy to treason, their personal safety increasingly compromised by zealots determined to control or destroy their project. The final stages of their project coincided with escalating hostilities between humans and Kekshanites. Intelligence reports indicated imminent deployment of a modified version of the Ancients' technology by enemy forces, potentially triggering catastrophic consequences if activated without proper calibration. James and Caitlin faced mounting pressure to accelerate their timeline, balancing the risk of rushing implementation against the certainty of disaster if they failed to complete their work in time. Their days merged into a continuous cycle of testing, analysis, and refinement, interrupted only by brief rest periods that often found them dozing in their chairs, heads nodding in unison as exhaustion claimed them simultaneously. Breakthroughs came in unexpected bursts, often triggered by moments of pure intuition rather than methodical experimentation. During one such instance, Caitlin's patterns spontaneously synchronized with quantum fluctuations in their equipment, revealing hidden layers of functionality in the Ancients' design. James captured the moment with diagnostic tools, documenting how their hybrid interface had evolved beyond its original parameters to create something fundamentally new. This discovery confirmed their worst fears. The system required not just their combined effort, but their willing participation in a process that would permanently alter their consciousness. The realization crystallized during a particularly intense calibration session when their thoughts began overlapping without spoken communication, each anticipating the other's next move with eerie precision. Personal sacrifices accumulated alongside technical achievements. James canceled leave requests from his remaining family members, unable to explain the gravity of his situation without compromising security. Caitlin severed ties with her Luminarian community, knowing her transformation would make her an outcast among her own kind. These losses weighed heavily on them both, manifesting in rare moments of vulnerability when their carefully maintained professionalism slipped. Once, after a particularly draining test sequence, Caitlin broke down in tears of liquid light, her patterns dissolving into chaotic swirls that James could feel resonating through his own nervous system. He held her then, not as scientist to colleague but as partner to partner, acknowledging the depth of their connection without needing to speak it aloud. Their work attracted renewed attention from shadow organizations operating beyond official channels. Encrypted messages arrived daily, some offering assistance, others threatening exposure. Security teams identified multiple attempts to infiltrate their lab, leading to round-the-clock protection that paradoxically increased their isolation. Yet within this cocoon of surveillance and secrecy, they found a peculiar freedom, the ability to focus solely on their mission without distraction from external politics or personal concerns. The world outside their lab faded into background noise compared to the symphony of discovery playing out before them. As their project approached completion, James and Caitlin encountered a final, unexpected challenge. The ancient system required not just their conscious participation but access to their deepest memories and emotions. Calibration sequences began triggering involuntary recollections, flooding their minds with images and sensations they'd long suppressed. For James, this meant reliving the destruction of his home colony, feeling again the heat of plasma fire, and hearing the final cries of his loved ones. Caitlin experienced parallel revelations about her own past, including her species' role in ancient conflicts that had shaped current galactic politics. These shared traumas created new pathways of understanding between them, forging bonds deeper than either had imagined possible. Their physical transformations accelerated alongside technical progress. Caitlin's bioluminescent patterns stabilized into permanent enhancements visible even in normal lighting conditions, while James developed heightened sensitivity to electromagnetic fields approaching luminarian norms. Medical examinations revealed hybrid cellular structures forming in both their bodies, evidence of irreversible change that would make them outcasts in their respective societies. Rather than resisting this metamorphosis, they embraced it as necessary for completing their mission, finding beauty in their evolving forms that transcended traditional definitions of species identity. The political situation deteriorated rapidly as news of their progress leaked to extremist groups. Human supremacists viewed their collaboration as betrayal, while Luminarian traditionalists condemned Caitlin's integration with human consciousness. Death threats multiplied, forcing them to relocate their lab to a secret location aboard the Invincible. Even trusted colleagues began treating them differently, their hybrid status creating unease among those who once supported their work. Yet these challenges only strengthened their resolve, reinforcing their belief that true understanding required sacrifice beyond conventional boundaries. Final preparations involved integrating their personal memories into the system's core programming, a process that felt both invasive and cathartic. As they fed their experiences into the quantum matrix, patterns emerged showing how their individual traumas reflected larger historical cycles of conflict and reconciliation. The ancients' wisdom revealed itself not through abstract equations, but through recognition of shared pain and potential for growth. Each memory integrated brought them closer to activating the protocol, while simultaneously pulling them further from their original identities. Their reflections in laboratory windows showed figures becoming something new, neither fully human nor luminarian, but representatives of a possible future where species distinctions mattered less than shared purpose. The countdown to activation began with a mixture of anticipation and dread. Their hybrid interface now occupied an entire chamber, its crystalline structure pulsing with energy patterns that reflected both their contributions. Final tests showed perfect synchronization between their neural networks and the ancients' technology, though medical teams warned of potential psychological risks from prolonged exposure. Caitlin's patterns had evolved into a permanent aurora surrounding her form, while James's eyes glowed faintly with quantum light, visible reminders of their transformation. They moved through pre-launch checks with practiced efficiency, their movements choreographed through months of preparation, yet still carrying the weight of historic significance. Security measures reached unprecedented levels as word spread about their impending activation. Special forces units from both human and Luminarian militaries established perimeter defenses, while diplomatic channels buzzed with last-minute negotiations. Intelligence reports indicated that Kexionite forces were massing near critical coordinates, suggesting they too had developed means to interface with the Ancients' network. This knowledge added urgency to their timeline, though neither James nor Caitlin allowed external pressures to affect their focus. Instead, they retreated into their shared mental space, communicating through subvocalizations and energy pulses that bypassed conventional language altogether. Their final briefing brought together representatives from multiple species and factions, each hoping to claim credit for their achievement while distancing themselves from potential failure. Admiral Hargrove presided over the meeting, his expression revealing nothing of his true thoughts about their transformation. Scientists presented detailed analyses of expected outcomes, while ethicists debated the moral implications of their hybrid status. Through it all, James and Caitlin maintained their composure, answering questions with clinical detachment that belied the emotional turmoil beneath their calm exteriors. Only when alone could they acknowledge the magnitude of their journey, their combined patterns creating interference patterns that danced across bulkheads like living constellations. Activation protocols required them to enter separate chambers linked by quantum entanglement fields, a precaution against system overload. As they prepared to separate for the first time in weeks, their hesitation spoke volumes about how completely they'd merged their existence. Technicians guided them through final position adjustments while medical monitors tracked their vital signs with increasing alarm. The moment of separation triggered physiological responses that threatened to delay activation. Caitlin's patterns destabilized dangerously, while James experienced severe neurological feedback. Their solution came instinctively, reaching out with their hybrid connection to stabilize each other across the dividing barrier, proving once again that their union had become more than physical proximity. Activation commenced with a cascade of quantum events that rippled through their consciousness, like waves crashing against an alien shore. The ancient system unfolded around them, revealing dimensions of reality previously inaccessible to both species. Through their hybrid interface, they perceived the galaxy not as separate territories, but as interconnected nodes of consciousness, each star system vibrating with its own unique signature. Caitlin's patterns expanded beyond visible spectrum, while James's perception stretched to encompass electromagnetic frequencies far beyond human norms. Their combined awareness processed information at rates that would overwhelm individual minds, yet they navigated this flood of data with practiced ease born of months of preparation. The initial activation triggered unexpected responses from dormant nodes across explored space. Ancient structures' long-thought ruins began emitting harmonics that resonated with their quantum field, creating feedback loops that threatened system stability. Working in perfect synchronization despite physical separation, they adjusted parameters with split-second timing that defied conventional understanding of communication speed. Each correction required accessing deeper levels of their shared consciousness, drawing upon memories and instincts that now belonged to both equally. Their patterns intertwined across the dividing barrier, creating a bridge of energy that technicians could only describe as impossible before hastily revising sensor calibrations. Outside their chambers, chaos erupted as various factions reacted to the activation's effects. Ships reported unexplained malfunctions as ancient protocols attempted to integrate with modern technology. Diplomatic channels flooded with urgent communications as leaders struggled to comprehend the implications of this new reality. Within their protected environment, James and Caitlin remained focused, their hybrid senses filtering relevant data from the storm of information. They identified critical nodes requiring immediate stabilization, prioritizing locations where Kexionite forces threatened to disrupt the emerging network. Their decisions carried weight far beyond tactical considerations, shaping the future of interstellar relations with each calculated adjustment. Personal boundaries dissolved completely as they delved deeper into the system's architecture. Memories flowed freely between them, no longer distinguishable as belonging to one or the other. Caitlin experienced James's childhood through his eyes, while he felt the collective memory of Luminarian ancestors coursing through his consciousness. These shared experiences created new neural pathways that enhanced their ability to navigate the complex web of ancient technology. Their patterns merged into a single entity that pulsed with understanding beyond individual comprehension, yet retained the distinct flavors of their original identities, like harmonics in a complex chord. As system integration progressed, they encountered resistance from unexpected quarters, fragments of the ancients' consciousness that had evolved independently over millennia. These entities manifested as intelligent interference patterns, challenging their authority to activate the network. Through their hybrid interface, James and Caitlin engaged in negotiations that transcended conventional diplomacy, exchanging concepts and experiences rather than words. Caitlin's patterns adapted to incorporate these new energies, while James's human intuition provided grounding that prevented their consciousness from becoming overwhelmed by alien perspectives. Together, they forged a new consensus that honored both ancient wisdom and contemporary needs. The political situation reached crisis point as various factions demanded immediate access to the activated network. Human and Luminarian leadership convened emergency sessions, their debates broadcast across secure channels while military forces mobilized in response to perceived threats. James and Caitlin monitored these developments through their expanded consciousness, recognizing patterns of behavior that mirrored historical cycles documented in the ancients' archives. Their ability to perceive these connections enabled them to predict and counteract potentially destructive actions before they could occur, though each intervention required deeper immersion in the system's quantum field. Physical manifestations of their transformation became impossible to conceal. Caitlin's humanoid form now hosted constantly shifting energy patterns that defied conventional physics, while James's body emitted low-level radiation detectable by specialized equipment. Medical teams recorded unprecedented biological changes as their cellular structures continued evolving toward an unknown equilibrium. Despite these dramatic alterations, they maintained essential functions through sheer force of will, driven by the knowledge that their unique status made them indispensable to stabilizing the emerging network. Crew members who once questioned their relationship now treated them with awe bordering on reverence, though the couple remained focused solely on their mission. Their final challenge came when Kexionite forces launched a coordinated assault on multiple critical nodes, attempting to hijack the system for their own purposes. Through their expanded awareness, James and Caitlin perceived the attack as a distortion wave propagating through the quantum field. Their response required instantaneous adaptation, drawing upon reserves of energy that pushed their hybrid bodies to the limits of endurance. Patterns of light and shadow danced across their forms as they channeled power through the network, counteracting hostile influences with precisely calibrated harmonics. The effort left them drained but triumphant, having proven that their union represented something greater than either species alone could achieve. System stabilization required them to maintain continuous presence within the quantum field, their consciousness expanding to encompass entire star systems while retaining awareness of minute details within their immediate environment. Through their hybrid interface, they orchestrated a delicate ballet of energy redistribution, balancing competing demands from various nodes while preventing overload scenarios that could collapse the entire network. Caitlin's patterns served as real-time indicators of system health, while James's human intuition identified potential trouble spots before they manifested as actual threats. Their combined expertise created a feedback loop of prevention and response that kept the network functioning despite ongoing attempts at sabotage. The political ramifications of their success became apparent as various species and factions began experiencing the network's effects firsthand. Long-standing conflicts showed signs of resolution as participants gained access to perspectives previously unavailable to them. Trade disputes settled through newfound understanding of mutual needs, while territorial disagreements resolved through recognition of shared interests. James and Caitlin monitored these developments through their expanded consciousness, providing guidance where needed while respecting the autonomy of those involved. Their role evolved from technical operators to facilitators of a new era of interstellar relations, though they remained humble about their influence on historical events unfolding around them. Physical limitations continued to challenge their ability to maintain constant vigilance. Periods of deep immersion in the quantum field required extensive recovery time, during which their patterns stabilized into resting configurations that still defied conventional medical understanding. Technicians developed specialized environments to support their unique physiology, combining human medical technology with luminarian energy manipulation techniques. These innovations represented a microcosm of the larger synthesis occurring across species boundaries, as formerly separate technologies and methodologies merged to support their unprecedented condition. Their personal sacrifices inspired similar willingness to transcend traditional limitations among those who witnessed their transformation. Relationship dynamics shifted as their consciousness continued expanding beyond individual identity. Moments of privacy became rare as their patterns naturally synchronized even across distances, creating a constant state of shared awareness that challenged conventional notions of personal space or independent thought. Yet within this expanded connection, they discovered new depths of intimacy, thoughts unfinished before spoken, emotions shared before felt, decisions made through consensus of being rather than negotiation of wills. Their love story transcended romantic classification, becoming instead a testament to the potential for unity across seemingly insurmountable differences. As their mission approached its conclusion, James and Caitlin faced the ultimate test of their transformation, integrating their consciousness fully with the Ancients' network while maintaining their individual agency. This final step required surrendering remaining vestiges of their original identities, trusting that their hybrid nature had become strong enough to withstand complete immersion in the quantum field. Their patterns merged into a single entity that pulsed with understanding beyond species boundaries, yet somehow retained the essence of their original selves like echoes in a cosmic chamber. The transition triggered system-wide adjustments as nodes across explored space responded to their unified presence, stabilizing connections that had previously fluctuated dangerously. The impact of their achievement rippled through galactic society, sparking revolutions in understanding that transcended political and cultural divides. Species long divided by mistrust found common ground in shared access to the network's wisdom, while ancient rivalries dissolved in the face of broader perspective. James and Caitlin became living symbols of this new era, their hybrid existence demonstrating possibilities previously dismissed as fantasy. Leaders who once opposed their work now sought their counsel, though they remained committed to serving as guides rather than rulers in this transformed reality. Their laboratory evolved into a nexus of cooperation, attracting scholars and diplomats from across known space eager to learn from their example of successful integration. Personal costs accumulated alongside their successes. Contact with their original communities became increasingly difficult as their transformed nature made normal interaction challenging. Family members struggled to recognize James in his altered state, while Caitlin's fellow Lumians viewed her changes with a mixture of awe and apprehension. Yet these losses paled beside the fulfillment they found in their new purpose, serving as bridge between species and guardian of the network's integrity. Their relationship evolved into something beyond conventional partnership, existing simultaneously as two distinct beings and a single unified consciousness that spanned star systems. The future remained uncertain, but filled with possibility. New nodes continued activating across unexplored regions of space, suggesting that their work represented only the beginning of a much larger process of galactic awakening. Younger generations, raised with access to the network's expanded awareness, showed remarkable adaptability to concepts that once challenged even their transformed mentors. James and Caitlin watched this evolution with pride, knowing their sacrifice had opened doors to understanding that would shape interstellar relations for centuries to come. As their patterns finally stabilized into a permanent state of quantum resonance, They acknowledged that their journey had transformed not just themselves, but the very fabric of existence across the stars. If you enjoyed this epic tale of interspecies cooperation and cosmic discovery, subscribe now to explore more thrilling adventures from the final frontier.